This is ZyCodes, and today I am starting a series that will document me building a 2D RPG from scratch, and I will show you how to start a project using LWJGL. LWJGL, or Lightweight Java Game Library, is an open-source Java library that provides low-level bindings to native APIs such as OpenGL, OpenAL, and GLFW, to name a few. These APIs give Java programs direct access to hardware-accelerated features such as graphics rendering, audio playback, and window management. In other words, LWJGL acts as a bridge, letting you use the computer's hardware capabilities while still letting you write the game entirely in Java. Now, there are multiple reasons why I'm doing this as opposed to just using a game engine. First, I've never really liked using game engines. They are powerful and can probably save you time in the long run, but to start off, they come with lots of tools and huge systems that you have to learn before getting to the part where you can code the game. For me at least, it feels less intuitive than just writing the code myself, even if it means more work. Second, LWJGL gives me complete freedom. I get to build every system, rendering, audio input, everything from the ground up. This way I both learn how these systems actually work and I can design them in a way that makes sense to me. Whereas in a game engine, some tools can be confusing or feel overly complex. By using LWJGL, I feel I can better understand what's happening because I'm the one implementing the features. And third, while this is more personal, I just like the feeling of building everything from scratch. When I use a pre-made engine, it feels like the engine is doing half the work for me. By using LWJGL, every piece of the game is something I built, and it just feels more satisfying to me that way. Now, none of this means engines are bad. In fact, if you're just starting game development, I'd encourage you to use one so you can learn the basics without having to build everything underneath. At least for this project, I want the control and the flexibility of building the whole thing myself. Now, people say making a game is difficult. They aren't wrong, but making the game isn't the hardest part. What's most difficult about game development is actually starting. When you're new, it's easy to get caught up in thinking everything has to be perfect. You might think you need to understand every system, pick the perfect engine, structure your project perfectly, or find yourself stuck watching hours of tutorials just to not get anywhere. And that makes it really easy to get burnt out before you even start writing code. What you really need to do is take that first step and just create a new project. It doesn't matter if you don't fully know what you're doing. It doesn't matter what language you use, if you use a game library, or if you utilize a full game engine. You'll learn more as you go and adapt your skills over time. Your first game won't be perfect, but once you get that far, you'll be able to make a better one the next time. Now let's actually get to the project setup. To work in LWJGL, you're going to need a couple of things beforehand, so I'll explain that here. I'm not going to show you how to download each piece of software as there are many other tutorials out there if you need them. First, you'll need Java. LWJGL is a Java library, so you'll need a JDK or Java Development Kit installed. Any modern version works. The version I'm using is JDK 21. Next, you'll need a code editor or IDE. You can use anything that supports Java. Strong options include Virtual Studio Code and Eclipse. Personally, I'd recommend IntelliJ because it handles Gradle and project structure really well. Optionally, you can download Git if you want to include version control. It's not required, but Git is really useful for tracking changes and backing up your projects. And finally, you'll need LWJGL, which you don't download manually. Instead, you generate a Gradle build file from the LWJGL website and add it to your project. Then your IDE will automatically download the LWJGL libraries for you. I'll walk you through how to do that now. So head over to lwjgl.org, the official lightweight Java game library website, and click on the Download tab. Then click on the Customize LWJGL button, which will bring you to the configuration page. The first option is the Build tool. Both Maven and Gradle are widely used. Using a zip is not recommended as you would have to add all the files manually, whereas a Build tool does it automatically. I use Gradle and that's what I'd recommend for you to choose, but feel free to do more research into the options if you want to. Next, leave the Do Not Use Variables button, leave it off, and select your operating system. I use Windows. The next option is the build script language. Both Groovy and Kotlin do the same thing. The only difference is the syntax. Groovy is older and has more examples online, while Kotlin is newer and it's a bit harder to learn. You can choose either, but I'm going to pick Groovy. The presets, all they do is just automatically select some of the contents. You can add or remove more of them if you want, and you can turn on the descriptions to see what each one of them does. I'm going to select the minimal OpenGL preset, which has Assimp, which is a library to import 3D models. I won't be using this in my game, so I could deselect it, but I'll leave it on as it won't affect anything. GLFW allows you to create windows and handle input. OpenAL and OpenGL handle playing audio and rendering respectively. And STB allows you to load images. For add-ons, make sure you select JOML or the OpenGL math library. It provides math classes such as vectors and matrices. These are useful for handling transformations like movement, rotation, and scaling. And lastly, just select the latest version. Once you've selected everything, your build file will be automatically generated at the bottom. Copy this and open up your code editor. Once you open up your code editor, create a new project. If you're using IntelliJ like me, then your format here should be similar. Give your project a name and choose the parent folder. You can create a Git repository if you want to, and select either Gradle or Maven, whatever you chose. Choose your JDK, and then choose Groovy or Kotlin, whichever you chose, and create your project. Once you're in your build.gradle file, you can replace everything here with what you copied from the LWJGL website. These two lines here are just metadata, but you need this plugins block. And after that, press this little symbol here to update your build.gradle file. And then your program is good to go. Now the last thing we're going to do in this tutorial is back on the LWJGL website. If you go to Getting Started and scroll down, there's this whole piece of code here. Now it documents what things do on here, so I'm not going to walk you through it. But if you just paste all of this code inside your code editor, make a new class, and just paste it in there. And you have to change this to whatever you called your class. So I called mine main. And then if you run this, it creates a window. You can resize it, full screen, and if you press escape or the X, then it'll close. So that is your project started. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.